Alright, so this week I've been asked to do a top list, and considering I've been wanting to take this particular series on for a while, it seemed almost like a perfect project to try with. So even though this has been done by people before, I'd like to present you with the top 5 things I hate about the Resident Evil film series. And you might be wondering why I'm a dog right now. That's because no one on the internet would be as cruel as to take after a poor defenseless puppy, now would they? Now, getting into this, I know that this isn't the most cohesive of storylines, and there are plenty of things I could have used for this list, but for my time and for my sanity's sake, being as how I stayed up all night last night watching all 5 of these bastards back to back, I'm only going to get into the 5 things that bothered me the absolute most. If you would like my opinion on the entire series as a whole, it's going to be in the end of the video in the last little part. So, without further ado, let's get cracking on this. The anti-superpower injection. At the start of the 4th movie, Alice manages to track down Albert Wesker, who within moments kills all of the clones that she found at the end of the last movie, and takes away the psychic superpowers they had been building in her in one foul swoop. So basically, after I was finally able to accept the fact that she is freaking Kung Fu Psychic Jesus, they take that away from her, and yet she can still perform all the same special jumps and maneuvers that was previously explained was a product of the T-virus in her. So with it cured, she shouldn't be able to pull that crap off anymore. But don't worry, once you accept that fact, they reactivate her powers in the next movie, rendering this entire subplot completely useless. Clones, clones, clones. The 3rd movie was the first to unveil that in this version of the Resident Evil universe there are clones. Initially, there's a breakout of more Alice's, mainly used to recreate the start of the 1st movie in an attempt to make us more confused as to what's going on than we already are. At the end of this movie, the real Alice, although I'm willing to say that she's secretly a clone and that'll pop up in one of the later movies, has an army that is immediately killed at the start of the next one. The 5th one, hell, might as well be called Resident Evil, The Trouble with Clones, as the entire plot revolves around an Umbrella cloning factory where they produce duplicates of the Resident Evil cast and other cast members that they've killed off before, such as Carlos, clone Alice, and their daughter, where they reuse set pieces from previous movies that were left over to create a factory that they are trying to rescue Alice from that uses normal zombies and special ones that can now shoot guns, because we love that so much in the video games. And this is kind of a minute thing about the whole cloning facility, but they can only produce one of each clone at a time. So one Carlos, one Alice, one of that black guy from the first one whose name I never bothered to learn. The portrayal of popular characters. Now, with me not being the biggest Resident Evil fan out there, I don't know every last minor character, so I'm sorry if I miss a few. With that being said, now this is the big one, as they have ruined every last character they have brought in from the franchise to date. They started with minor things, such as changing Jill Valentine from a STARS agent to a cop who wears skimpy attire just for the fuck of it. And hell, fucking Nemesis turned out to be the love interest from the first movie, and that's what stopped Umbrella's ultimate killing machine from slaughtering Alice in the second. True love. Claire Redfield became the leader of a survivor convoy, and while nothing like her game counterpart, I enjoyed her performance in Extinction. Then in Afterlife she turned into an amnesiac because she can, and her contract said she had to be in this movie. Afterlife is also where her brother Chris appears trapped in the prison. He is also the first character from the game series to have no personality, a trait which every character afterwards has. The 5th movie gave us what I consider to be the final insult, which is Leon and Barry, 2 characters from the games that had some great personalities and story arcs. Hell, in this they don't even make them look the same, with Chris and Claire just disappearing from the 5th and Barry dying because he's not Alice, and almost everyone who is not Alice has to do that. Now this one's a tie between the 2 things, one being major and one being minor, that bothered me to the point I had to pause the movie and go punch someone in the face to let my frustration out, which is the Red Queen being the ultimate evil and Alice's daughter. For those of us who watched the first movie, we know the Red Queen is the AI of a little girl who was just trying to stop the virus from reaching the surface, and even states in the movie that she was cut off from any other Umbrella support and unable to call for help. Well, as it turns out in the fifth movie, she makes a return as the real villain of the series, seeing as how she somehow controls the zombies and evil clones which Alice must now fight against. The other one also comes from the fifth movie, as the clone of Alice that is rather killed quickly in the movie has a child of her and Carlos, the love interest from the second and third movies. The daughter manages to hide and is found by the real Alice, who immediately takes her and starts protecting her as if she was her own. Because she can. To make matters worse, the daughter is deaf and is talked to in the most fake sign language fucking possible. But it's okay because even though it had never been mentioned or established, the great all-powerful Alice knows it, probably as part of those psychic superpowers. The Extinction Armageddon. In the third movie in the series, Resident Evil Extinction takes place in a world where the virus had managed to dry up all the water, forcing the survivors to make a desperate push into a big city to try to find even the most basic necessities. It also reduced Umbrella to a small ragtag team and made the Tyrant a hentai-tentacle monster. But by the next one, it starts in the rain, I should add, and Alice soon flies by a lake. Hell, the finale of it takes place on a boat in the freaking ocean. The fifth movie, Alice ends up in the White House and is told the world is yet again over, but this time by the Red Queen and company. So we are up to 2 Armageddons for this franchise. Going by this movie's logic, 2012 won't be so bad because when the next Armageddon is getting ready to come, everything will be fine again, so it can all end. So, my opinions on these movies are simple. Even by adaptation standards, it is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen, and Paul W.S. Anderson was out of his goddamn mind when he wrote these things. And if you're not a giant masochist, then do not watch these movies back to back. It hurts. Well, that's all for now. I'm gonna go find a therapist and hopefully get some pills that make me forget these movies even exist. Alright, I'll see you guys next week for the Season 1 finale. We're gonna tackle something big. I'm thinking Jersey Shore.